SLC Pod. I'm your host, Austin Pacer. No, this isn't one of the Ninja Turtles. You know, but I probably couldn't even name all the Ninja Turtles. I know it's like Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, some other Renaissance artist. I just thought it would be fun to dress up like a Ninja Turtle to do a hockey podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, you see why this is fun. I've got the Halloween decorations going on. I'm in a good mood. It's nothing but jubilation here. It's spooky season, but it's also winning season. Yes! The Utah Hockey Club gets their first notch in the win column with a 5-2 victory over the Chicago Blackhawks Tuesday night at the Delta Center. History's made. We have the answer to a few trivia questions. Who's the first goal scorer in Utah hockey history? That's Dylan Guenther. Who scored the last goal of the game as well? Also Dylan Guenther. Lots of fun, lots of things to talk about. It was an incredible night. I was really happy to be there. I know a lot of folks who listen and watch the show were there, were very nice, came up to me wearing my, signature SLC Puck white hat and said hello, and that was a lot of fun. We were there early. My sister and I, who I refer to as my production assistant from time to time, we were there early at the block party in front of the Delta Center. A lot of fun. Shaboozey was there, played his hit song, a bar song, Tipsy. I think he played about 4 times and was maybe getting a little tipsy himself by the end. But it's still a lot of fun. And if you missed the live stream, I believe that's up right now on YouTube. So go ahead and check that out. You might enjoy just taking in a little bit of the atmosphere. Apologies, the audio wasn't great. Not that it's ever great here at SLC Puck, but, the production quality was not what you guys deserved, and I feel bad about that. But still, we had fun. It was it was a great time. A night really for the books, and I want to run down just about everything that happened that night through my eyes, but it was a lot of fun. But what was interesting was, again, a lot of people came up to me and said hi, including one guy who just saw my SLC Puck hat, and he's like, "Hey, are you the guy who does SLC Puck?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, of course I am." He's like, "Oh, I had no idea what you look like, because I just listened to the show on Apple." And it was really nice of that guy to do it. I'm sure I feel for those people now, because they're really missing the big joke of this episode, which is me dressed like a buffoon and doing a hockey podcast. But for those of you who are listening, watching, wherever you are, however you are, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you want to support the show, I want to show you guys something. So I do sell merch, and that merch does help me put the show together and support my costume habit, tomfoolery, all that good stuff. I have a new hoodie out. I want to just bring you guys back to April, though. A little throwback. Do you remember when the Utah Hockey Club first arrived in Salt Lake City? They were greeted by the airplane hangar full of youth hockey players. They were sporting these nice little hoodies here. This was before even the Utah Hockey Club name was announced. So I thought these hoodies were really cool, and I've seen them for sale in the store at the arena. But I thought, they're not quite complete quite yet. There's something I think that they could do a little bit better than this. So I did my own version right here. SLC Puck, established 2024, and and guess what? I actually did my first episode 3 days before the team was even announced they'd be coming to Salt Lake. So I kind of got the jump on them. I think it's only right that I do one of these hoodies as well. We're establishing the show this year. We're having a lot of fun. So anyway, enough of all that. Let's get into the recap of the big night on Tuesday. Man, it was a really fun time. I talked about how in the last episode how meaningful that game was going to be to the hockey community, those of us who know and love hockey and who have known and loved hockey for years here in Utah. I talked about how I was going to sob at one point. I ended up not crying. I didn't shed any tears, but I screamed a lot. Had a lot of fun. I had a big goofy smile on my face pretty much the whole time. I bumped into a lot of my hockey teammates from way back when I played for Viewmont, and again, that was way back when. That was I graduated in 2010. It was so good to see guys like Tyler Wolfley, Taylor Weaver, Dave Suter, who's sort of the de facto Utah hockey historian. You got to chat up with him. Ryan Tall as well, and his dad. So that was a lot of fun. Really great to see those guys. But yeah, I mean, it was just this really fun gathering of the who's who of the hockey community. I saw a lot of the other guys who do hockey podcasts as well, and it was really fun to catch up with them and just say hello, just talk a little bit of shop. But the day started early on Tuesday. It was really an all day event, and it really began early afternoon. That was when ESPN started their live broadcast of The Point, which is their hockey program. They had the ESPN triple header of action, which the Utah Hockey Club game closed out the night. But yeah, they did their studio show from the front plaza of the Delta Center pretty much all day, and they turned that area into a festival. And when we arrived around 4:30, it was in full force. There were hundreds, probably thousands of people there. Lots of hockey jerseys out and about. I think we saw a few smatterings of Blackhawks fans, jerseys of other varieties. There are people who have loved hockey and have loved other hockey teams for a while. But I did see an enormous amount of Utah Hockey Club apparel being worn by all the good folks who came out to see the team. And that was really fun and cool to see. And I have to think when the jerseys go on sale in November, that those are going to fly off the shelves. I know I have my eye on a Clayton Keller number 9 jersey when that becomes available. But the whole time was this great environment. And again, I live streamed my experience, sort of a follow me kind of thing. Really, really, really a fun time. There were like little shooting galleries where you could shoot pucks at a washer and dryer, a la the classic Sidney Crosby story, how he learned how to shoot the hockey puck. There were food trucks there, all kinds of giveaways. We had a lot of Frazzle, mini cups, some protein drinks from Just Ingredients. Free plugs, guys. You're welcome. And, it really was an atmosphere. And as the game drew closer, they got people really excited and on board to see the team. They brought the players down a blue carpet in front of the Delta Center. 2x2. I joked that they did that a la the animals boarding Noah's Ark. They did 2 players at a time coming down the blue carpet. Didn't do the whole team, about half the team. But, obviously the reception for guys like Sean Dursey, he looked great. He had this cool gangster hat in a pinstripe suit. He looked really cool. Lawson Krause had a nice little very fitted suit with some good ankle bone showing above his shoes. That was cool. Keller obviously was the big attraction. People went crazy when Captain Keller walked in. But the guy who I think has become the fan favorite already, Liam O'Brien. You know him as Spicy Tuna. He probably got the biggest reception. He had a lot of the kids there had really fun, creative Spicy Tuna signage. One kid had a can of Starkiss tuna on fire. That was kind of a fun little sign. And I'll tell you this about Liam O'Brien. Okay, he suited up for the game. He was active. I got the feeling towards the end of the game that he was really looking to fight. There was one fight involving Sean Dursey, but I would just call it a little bit of a scrap. It wasn't too much of a fisticuff situation. But you got the feeling at the end of the game that O'Brien really wanted to get the crowd revved up with a fight. But it seemed like I'm not sure what the officials said to him on the ice, but I think he was being very discouraged from dropping the gloves. But I was talking about Spicy Tuna while I was live streaming the player walk-in, and I thought to myself, this guy has an opportunity to be a legend here in Utah. And I likened him to sort of how a lot of people see Joe Ingles, as sort of like a fan figure. Joe Ingles, great player. I don't think he was ever known as one of the best player on the Jazz, but really more than anything, won over the fan base with his hard-nosed style of play, the way he conducted himself off the court as well. It feels like there's an opportunity for someone on this hockey club to be that person for the fan base, and it's pretty clear that Liam O'Brien is probably going to be that guy. So I would like to offer this suggestion to Mr. O'Brien, and this is one of my patented marketing ideas that I have for you, Mr. O'Brien. I think it would be very advantageous of you to open a sushi restaurant in the Gateway area and call it Spicy Tuna Sushi, and make it sort of a fun attraction, and have like hockey themed sushi rolls. I think people would really like that. That's what I would do if I was Liam O'Brien. But again, that was sort of the pregame situation outside of the arena. The players walked in, and then the fans made their way in as well. And I was really eager to just get in the arena, see what it looked like. It was a packed house. It was unbelievable. It looked awesome. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had the opportunity to be at a Jazz playoff game. It was that kind of feel. With the towels on the seat. I've got a towel right here from the game, with the shirts that was all ready to go. I thought those were really nice little giveaways. They had pucks as well at the door on your way out. But man, they really made it special for the fans, and I think the fans returned the favor by making it special for the players. They talked a lot about that after the game. But I was also really excited to see what the pregame show was going to look like. If you saw the last episode of SLC Puck, I really revved up the production value by putting a snow machine in the studio and blowing fake snow on myself, at the end of the show. And I'll just say this, with not trying to throw shade at all. I was just trying to throw snow, really. I think it might be fair to say that my snow was probably a little bit better than the snow that was teased to us by the Utah Hockey Club folks. But still, it was a nice little effect. They put like a nice video effect on the ice that was fun. It sort of had a very generic feel again, and that's just a consequence of not having, a team brand. Really, it's a generic name, so there's going to be a generic feel to it. But I think next year when they have the name, and I think it's almost very safe to say it's going to be Yeti. I think that's sort of in the bag at this point. When the Utah Yeti take the ice, I think you can really imagine hearing like a Yeti roar. I think you'll see a Yeti mascot be on the ice as part of this pregame show. Sort of, again, like how the Vegas Golden Knights have the Golden Knight who, interacts with the other teams around the NHL and battles them. I think you'll see the Yeti do that next year. But I'll say this, like in a fill-in role as in a temporary position, Jazz Bear looked awesome in the Utah Hockey Club jersey. I think that was a really smart temporary solution to have Jazz Bear do double duty. I think it was fun to see him with the jersey on, out at center ice, waving the Utah Hockey Club flag after the victory. Great night, and you see like really how they want to sort of blend these worlds with the Utah Jazz and now the Utah Hockey Club, almost acting in unison. That was apparent the whole night. And I think, Bear is one example, but the other big example, other than Ryan Smith being there, was the fact that Lowry Markkanen, Utah Jazz forward who just signed a $268 million contract, was out there on skates. And took the ice to do the ceremonial puck drop with Ryan and Ashley Smith. And I thought it was really cool. Lowry's from Finland, cold weather country. I looked it up because I remember watching him skate out, and I was like, wow, those skates have to be massive. That has to be like a custom skate from Bauer or something, which is a skate company. And I looked it up. He has size 14 basketball shoes, so I would think it would be hard to find a pair of hockey skates that could fit a guy who wears size 14, 15 shoes. Regardless, he took the ice, and I thought that was like kind of a fun little novelty there. But I was like, man, if you're Ryan Smith, do you really want the guy you're paying $260 million, skating around on ice? Like, wouldn't that have been such a disaster on so many levels if Lowry Markkanen catches an edge and blows out his knee and, is lost for the Jazz season a couple weeks before they tip off. Not only that, it would have ruined the night for the Utah Hockey Club. It would have been very upsetting to see Lauri Markkanen, catch an edge and become injured. But it didn't happen. He was a pretty good skater, maneuvered himself very well out there for a 7-footer. It's not easy for tall guys to skate, and Lauri did a great job. But all that happened, and then finally, they dropped the puck, and it was absolutely electric. It was a ton of fun. Again, a 5-2 victory by Utah. We saw goals by Dylan Guenther, scored the first goal, followed by another goal by Clayton Keller to give Utah a 2-0 lead after the first period. Barrett Hayton scored again in the second. So did Chicago to make it 3-1 going into the third. And then from there, Lawson Krause scored in the third. Actually, it was Dylan Guenther who scored first, and Lawson Krause at the end to add insurance. But Chicago added a goal before that in the third period. But I'll say this: I think the game, if you really look at it from my perspective, you might think like a 5-2 victory, a 3-goal win. That's pretty good. That's a pretty resounding result for the Utah Hockey Club. But I actually think the game itself was much closer than what the score would indicate. In fact, I was saying this to a few people around me, and I was texting people. I'm like, I think the boys are in a lot of trouble. I think they might lose this game. And it really was a tale of two halves, really. And obviously hockey has 3 periods. But I think you just saw, like, the middle of the second, you saw Chicago come alive. And I really got the feeling that Utah might have been a little tired towards the end of the game. And I think that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. It was sort of a rare, kind of weird situation for a team to play in. I'm sure the guys had a very long day. I'm sure they were emotionally spent. And by the third period, I thought it was pretty obvious that Chicago had a lot more juice in the tank. I think just watching the way Utah was playing that third period, I think the offense got really sloppy, almost disappeared. I think they had a hard time really effectively breaking the puck out of the zone, getting through the neutral zone. It was just a lot of like flinging the puck almost kind of up in the air and just trying to chase it down in the neutral zone. Didn't get a lot of zone time there in the third period. It was really close. And I think the truth is, like, Utah kind of got pretty lucky in a lot of ways. I remember just watching that last minute when Chicago pulled their goalie down 3-2. The pressure was immense. It was heavy. And the Blackhawks actually hit the post twice within a span of a few seconds. But fortunately, right after that for Utah, they get the puck down to the other end, and Dylan Guenther buries it for his second goal of the night to give Utah a bit of a cushion with a 5-2 lead. And then after that, Ian Cole hits a slap shot that Lawson Krause deflects into the net, and that was kind of funny to watch because Ian Cole, like he just fires a slap shot, kind of floated on him, was about 3 feet in the air. And then just suddenly, boom, it was in the back of the net, because Lawson Krause deflected it in. But Ian Cole kind of looked at his stick like, he was as surprised as anybody else that the puck went in the net, and that was a great moment. But and then Utah coasts the rest of the way to win 5-2. But again, great game. I thought Connor Ingram, the goaltender for the Utah Hockey Club, had a terrific night. He especially in that second half, he got a lot of help from his posts, but we know how much goaltenders love their posts. There's a great story, and if my mom was sitting in here, which sometimes she likes to watch the show, she'd make her favorite joke. The story goes that Patrick Waugh, who she likes to call Patrick Roy because she thinks he's funny, Patrick Waugh used to talk to his goal posts, to the posts during the game. They were sort of his friends, and I'm sure Connor Ingram kind of felt like the posts were his friends as well last night because they came in handy. And I think especially one of those shots, especially the one by Tyler Bertuzzi, which really rang off the post with about a minute to go. I'm sure Connor Ingram said, thank you, post, after that one, because that would have tied the game up at 3, and had it gone to overtime, I'm not sure how that would have shaken out for the Utah Hockey Club. But hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and I think in a lot of ways, I think you can say Connor Ingram was both lucky and good last night. You know, he made 24 shots or 24 saves as well, and was the second star of the game. They gave the first star of the game to Dylan Guenther, who was a worthy recipient. Connor Ingram, as I said, was the second, but the third star was Liam O'Brien, and I think that was just something to a little spicy tuna. It was funny. I was taking notes during the game because I worked in sports media for so long. I covered a lot of Jazz games in person. It was just real. It's kind of hard for me to watch a game and cheer at the same time, because when you sit on press row, obviously there's no cheering. So I've sat in so many games not being able to cheer on press row that when I'm not on press row, it's hard to rewire my brain. But it was a lot of fun. I remember making this note. It was like, this spicy tuna guy, this Liam O'Brien fellow, is so beloved by this community, so beloved by this fan base. He didn't even do anything, and they were chanting his name at one point in the arena. They just showed him on camera, just sitting on the bench. Yeah, literally not doing anything, just taking a swig out of his water bottle. Was not on the ice, really. Hadn't done a ton. I thought he played a strong game. I think he was a really tough forechecker, and showed some good physicality and was willing to stand up for his team. That's his job, right? But he didn't do anything at that point, and he got all 16,000 people in the Delta Center chanting his nickname. I'm like, dude, this guy's got to get that sushi restaurant. I would eat at the Spicy Tuna sushi restaurant in a heartbeat. I would get me the Dylan Guenther roll, and maybe it would be fun if he had rolls named after each of his teammates. The Keller roll, the Coach Turney roll. I think this is such a good idea. I would like to be brought in as a partner, and I would be willing to do SLC Puck from Spicy Tuna Sushi. So just keep that in mind, Mr. O'Brien. Be happy to collaborate with you on that. But again, great game. Put it in the books. Utah Hockey Clubs got their first ever victory. We're undefeated right now in the regular season. I don't see how this train's going to stop. Even with they have kind of a weird road trip coming up. Next they'll take the ice on Thursday against the New York Islanders. Saturday they're headed up to play the New York Rangers. Then they'll go over to New Jersey to play the Devils on Monday. And then they fly all the way across the country to play the Anaheim Ducks on Wednesday. So those guys are going to be racking up the Sky Miles shortly. So they've got a little 4-game road trip coming up. And we'll see them after that. I believe they play the Boston Bruins at home after that. So that'll be a lot of fun. I hear from a lot of Boston fans all the time say, I am. They almost say it apologetically, like, I'm a Bruins fan, but I'm trying to support the guys here, and hey, your allegiances can be wherever you want, as long as you're having fun. And I think everybody was having fun on Tuesday night. The smiles were everywhere, and it was so easy to have just nice little pleasantries with everybody in the building. I don't think anybody was in a bad mood at all. There were 0 people who were fussy or difficult, And I it was so easy. Just you bump into somebody, while you're walking down the aisle or to get to your seat, and it's like, oh, you're fine, don't worry about it. Everybody was just so happy and excited to be there. And again, I didn't cry like I thought I would, but I did have this incredibly big smile on my face, and seeing all my hockey friends there and people who I know and love from hockey. We all share that moment together. I was happy to share it with my sister and my nephew. And I want to give a big thank you to Dustin and his wife Shelby for making it possible for us to go to the game. It was really fun to sit with them. Dustin's a great guy, very passionate about hockey. His wife Shelby was a great sport, sat with us, and I think she had a good time too. they bore with hearing from my silly commentary during the game. If you choose to go with me to a hockey game, I'll try to make it fun for you at the very least. I'll buy you a tub of popcorn and I'll make some jokes about something I saw on The Bachelorette that somehow relates to the action on the ice. I'll make that connection for you. I'm happy to do that. So just throwing that out there. But it's again a ton of fun. There were some interesting little tidbits that came out of this too, and the one that I really thought was interesting was that this, in terms of beer sales, was one of the most successful events the Delta Center has ever had for an NBA or an NHL game. And they've had a few Frozen Fury games over the years. But again, this is in terms of beer sales, I believe what they say, they sold over $120,000 worth of beer at the game, which to me, I think means they probably sold about 50 beers all night because the beers were so expensive. I bought 2, and now I have to move out of my apartment and into a little cot next to the studio here because I bought a couple of beers at the game. But it was worth it, and the beer kind of became a story in itself. If you were at the game at the Maverick Center last week when they played the Avalanche, you saw like beer chugging was a huge thing. They had a one lady drank a beer out of her prosthetic leg, which was hysterical. But it seemed like between every break in the action, they were showing people on the Jumbotron chugging a beer. And so I'd like to conclude the show by thanking you for tuning in to SLC Puck. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and this one's for the boys right here. I'm not very good at that. All right, we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys.